Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Good morning, everybody. Hope you have a fantastic day out there. We're going to show you a bit of a rampage that I went on in the old FSV Schedule A Tier 7 British Medium Wheeled Tank. You know, if there's always a thing that I always say about things that I always say about, it's that I like these wheeled tanks more than I should. They're not great. We've probably said this a dozen times in the last couple months, but I have enjoyed them quite a bit. We are here on Malinovka, Live Oaks, Dorf, Himmel's map thing. I'm running some, it's not purple equipment, it's Bounty, right? Vents, Vision, Optics, and a Turbski. Got 16 APCR. I am running food, and I have a couple large kits. We have spawned into the south. It's a standard battle. I am going to go fight over on the tracks. It's the place I virtually always go. It almost doesn't matter what kind of tank I'm in. Occasionally, I think if you get a platoon that can work together well and you've got some heavies, you might do some good work in the city. And if you can win that fast enough and then not push into their campers, problem with that is trying to get other people to not do that, then you can do some work. But I believe more than 70, 80, 90% just pulling a number out of my rear end, the battle's won over here. All right, so I do get spotted by that, and I am hanging out a bit, so we'll come up and over, get down into this little pit. So how do you win over here? Well, you kind of need to take the little ditch right here, but I don't think we've got enough power at the moment. It's an AMX, ELC, and myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and hang out in this bush here and see if we can get some shots on people. We see him, he sees me. That is unfortunate. I eat 2 shots. All right, I'm going to have to be a lot more careful. There's several angles right there, and that bush is not that great, to be honest. But now what you're going to see is the rampage start the rampage part of this start happening. In games like this, I find that if you have a big game, especially in a low alpha tank like this, you shoot a lot, right? Because you have to. It's only a 150 or so alpha gun. So you just have to be shooting as much as possible. Shoot early, shoot often. I'm like, why do I not have shots on that guy? Don't know. Probably because he's below the terrain right there. We do now have some backup. Get a ricochet. Yay, I ricocheted that thing as well. He's shooting into the bush. I guess I'm spotted. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the spotting right here. The ELC, though, he does take the ditch, and they prove that they don't want to get up into the ditch, so I'm going to go ahead and push into the ditch. And this is where you want to be. Often you need to get in there early to keep them from getting there, but the enemy team didn't seem like it wanted to, so we're going to go ahead and shoot the T-37. I'm going to ignore him for now. Not worried about him. Let's get up here and start shooting the rest of these guys. Then I thought about maybe I will worry about him, and then somebody else killed him. So I wasn't paying real close attention to the damage or to the kills on this one. I was just continuing to fight, getting shots as much as I can. If you have a low alpha gun, you need to shoot a lot. What's interesting about that is you look at it and go, all right, I have this low alpha, really high DPM gun, so I really should be able to crank out the damage. But the question then becomes, how often can you get shots? Now notice I'm more or less loaded as I come back up here. Get loaded again, we'll come back up. I know there's a T-20 hanging out right there. He's looking at the ELC, so we'll shoot. I'll come back down, watch the reload. Doot, 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 doot. So if I want to maximize DPM, I need to be up there shooting already. Now think about this being maybe a 6-second reload and double the alpha. On the shots I took, if you look at those, the amount of time between those, more than likely a longer reload tank would have got about as many shots as I did. And that's just how the game is played. So DPM is great, but the question is, can it employ it based on the type of tank it is, etc. And generally, these little pew-pew tanks like this one don't have a whole lot of armor. I mean, they can, but in terms of mediums and light tanks, they don't. So you just got to be coming up and shooting as fast as possible. Now, in that case, I took a couple shots that were probably right around my reload. And that's how you maximize your shots with a DPM tank like this. They're going to go in there and take him out. Maybe I do. Yep, I do. All right, so we kill him. But a lot of times, a longer reload isn't really going to hurt you just based on how often you're able to get a shot in this game. Because think about it. You pop out and you shoot. People probably looking at you at that point. If you go, okay, great, I reload in 2.5 seconds, I'm popping right out at 2.5, well, they may be just sitting there waiting for you, right? So just because you are reloaded in this game doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be popping at that point. This poor guy, he's just sitting in the middle. One of the reasons I get a lot of damage and a lot of kills in this game is this other team was not so good. Although we're going to see their city tanks do something pretty impressive for this level, for this tier of battle. Both the KV-3 and the M6 will come back. I think they lost some tanks pushing. Obviously, there's a lot of dead tanks involved, but they eventually realize that they can't push and that their cap's being threatened, and they come back. Trying to get shots. I'm like, oh, don't have the depression. All right, let's get back down here because that guy's probably going to shoot at us just like he did. There's a bit of a lull here. I'm up to 2,000 damage. I did not know that at the time in the game. I've got 765 assists, which is really nice. And we're sitting at 4 kills. Shoot at this guy and we miss. That's unfortunate. We don't get lit, which is good. You might be tempted at this point to just push in, but there's enough tanks with enough DPM, although they just lost a couple 3 right there, that pushing in I probably won't last very long. So look at that. The KV-3 and the M4 A1FL10 and the M6 have all fallen back to the corner. The guys on the other side realize this. They're pushing through, and now we're just getting into the cleanup mode. I'm at 2,100 damage, just having a rampage, right? Wasn't even thinking about it during the time of the battle. I'm just going from shot to shot. At this point, it's just trying to get as many hit points of damage as I can right here. That was a hasty shot. I probably could have aimed for the lower plate much better there and got a pin. So come up here. We're going to try to use these bushes, although we don't quite get her done. We find him and we shoot, but we bounce, and I think we get spotted here. Yep. But he's really busy being shot from multiple directions. Come in, zoom out. And here's another example of being able to get in there and get shots pretty immediately because I can tell his gun's not looking at me. See how it's highlighted? I need to shoot a little higher on that. We'll come over to the left a bit and get another pin there. Nope. Track damage. Did we get it? I don't know. I didn't see it. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I was always yabbering here. So he's hiding behind that. Now he knows he's being shot by me, but he sees another guy coming in. That gives you then an opportunity to move in on tanks that are being... Oh, that was terrible. I got right in the ditch, and then the gun jumped up. Trying to track him, see if we can get an assist and damage. Not quite the right angle. We shoot him right into the lower plate. There we go. We finally got her done. Probably could add more damage if I was aiming better. So I'm going to track this guy. Now here's the next place where the fast reload comes in, and this is an advantage, right? So it's not something you can always do because you got to be on the side of something, and it has to be kind of permissive to just sit there and shoot. Which if you have a situation with these low alpha, high DPM guns where you can shoot, that's you're going with the strength of the gun. But that is not the typical thing that you see in World of Tanks. And I would estimate, honestly, anywhere from 8 to 12 seconds between shots is about the best you can do in most cases, based on maneuvering and making sure you don't get shot back. But if you get into a situation like this where you can use that DPM and reload, and I'm just going to continue to track this guy. I'm watching his turret. It's so slow. Look at that. Look how slow it's moving. Just back up a little bit. We'll shoot him one more time, and we'll just back up some more. And I don't think he was even paying attention to me because he went right past me. He's trying to get the guy that's annoying him, right? A lot of people are unable to process more than one thing. I get to that point at times where you're locked in on the one guy and you miss the other one. So he was watching the 2801 run around him. If he'd have seen me, he probably could have taken that 390 alpha shot on me as his gun went through me. It's possible it wasn't reloaded. Unknown, but you get the idea on that one that he's just trying to get his gun on the 2801. And check that out, guys. We got 7 kills. So we get a top gun, a high caliber. Not quite enough for the... Is it the Radley that's next? I'm not sure. Whatever the next one is for 8. 1,113 assists for a total of 4,500 in a tier 7 battle. That has 5s in it as well, so not a whole bunch of hit points. Pretty awesome little game. I really liked that one. I didn't actually come up for air until the very end and looked at it. It wasn't necessarily a close one, 15-8. We pretty well handled them. There was a bit of a scrap over in the south there on the tracks. One thing I didn't talk about over there on the tracks that I did want to mention on it is that bowl that they tried to fight out of, the T-20, the bowl right here, that is not the place to defend. If the green spawn, the spawn we were on, takes the pit, and you're in that bowl, you need to slide back around to this north side of this hill and allow your snipers to help you as they poke up and over. If you're in this bowl, you're going to be crushed. If it's anything like even to outnumbered, you have to fall back here. You know, if you don't, both spawns need to take the pit to move forward. If you don't, you can't defend from this bowl. Just don't even try, especially if they're going to come from several directions. Just fall back to this north spot right there, and that's about the best you can do. So there you go, a bit of a Rampage in the old FSV, a tank that honestly I shouldn't like as much as I do, but I do. I love the speed and the gun, even though it is a relatively low alpha for tier 7. Gosh, even for a medium. And look, I almost used all my shells. Check it out. 150 alpha is pretty painful down there at that tier. Most of them are in the 180 to 240 range sometimes. 150 is pretty low, but its ability to get around and get things done and its accuracy is nice. So I just want to chuck that one out there, talk a little bit more about the tracks down there, how you handle that thing, and the fact that with the DPM guns and the fast reloads, you do want to get as many shots as possible, but it's an interesting thing to me in this game that you can't always apply that based on the way the game is played. If you can, great, that's what you're looking to do. You want to position your tank and get in situations where you can do that and find those spots, and then you can crank out 3,355 damage with this little 150 alpha gun. I don't know how many shots I took. We'll see the cards in a minute, but it was a lot. In fact, I didn't even realize it until I was watching the replay that I was only down to 13 more shells, 9 AP and 4 HE. Awesome, guys. All right, let me know what you guys think about these kinds of tanks, the high DPM, low alpha tanks. How many of those do you guys like? That is all I've got, and we will see ya.